When Mayor Robert Chambers became Seattle's most popular elected official, citizens trusted him to lead their city into prosperity. But when his methamphetamine addiction and embezzlement schemes consumed him, he began stealing public funds for drug cartels and murdering city officials who discovered his crimes, turning City Hall into a deadly criminal headquarters. Before starting the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Now, let's get back to the video. The Washington autumn rain poured across Seattle's downtown district as Mayor Robert Chambers organized falsified budget documents and cartel communication devices for what would become the most dangerous political operation of his 16-year career as the Pacific Northwest's most influential mayor and municipal government leader. At 54 years old, Robert had established himself as Seattle's premier political figure, controlling city budgets and public contracts that attracted construction companies, drug cartels, and organized crime syndicates who valued his mayoral authority and his reputation for coordinating the most lucrative municipal projects affecting urban development and public funding throughout the metropolitan government system. Robert's mayoral office occupied the top floor of Seattle City Hall's administrative building, featuring budget coordination systems, contract approval facilities, and public funding centers that allowed him to oversee the city's most sensitive municipal operations while maintaining absolute control over taxpayer money worth billions in construction contracts affecting public services and urban development throughout the regional government infrastructure. The interior of Robert's office reflected his mastery of municipal leadership and his understanding of political expectations for both governmental excellence and absolute accountability during the most critical public funding decisions affecting city prosperity, featuring walls displaying political achievements from multiple election campaigns, photographs of successful infrastructure projects, and testimonials from grateful community leaders whose neighborhoods had improved through his mayoral expertise and strategic city planning affecting urban development and public welfare. But beneath Robert's reputation for political excellence lay a dangerous combination of methamphetamine addiction, systematic public fund embezzlement, and calculated murder that had transformed his city government operations into criminal enterprises, where threatening officials and suspicious investigators met their fate through municipal accidents and witness elimination during vulnerable city projects and budget procedures. "Good morning, Mayor Chambers," said City Controller Lisa Martinez, arriving for her weekly budget meeting about ongoing municipal projects and federal oversight that required Robert's authorization for public expenditures and contract approvals affecting city operations. Lisa had recently discovered irregular budget allocations and had begun questioning Robert's explanations about funding protocols that seemed to bypass normal city oversight processes and federal accounting requirements. "Good morning, Controller Martinez," Robert replied with the political authority and municipal expertise that had made him legendary among Seattle government personnel who viewed him as both visionary leader and fiscal manager, capable of transforming urban landscapes through sophisticated city planning and strategic public investment affecting municipal prosperity and community development throughout the metropolitan area. Lisa had become Robert's most dangerous subordinate, not because of her demanding budget requirements or her federal coordination responsibilities, but because of her recent discovery of unauthorized fund transfers and her growing awareness of the embezzlement operation that Robert had been conducting, while supposedly providing legitimate city government for municipal services and public welfare programs. What Lisa didn't know was that Robert had been systematically stealing public funds and murdering city officials for over 3 years, using his mayor authority and access to municipal budgets to coordinate cartel money laundering while eliminating anyone who discovered his embezzlement or threatened to expose his criminal exploitation of public resources for drug trafficking coordination and organized crime facilitation affecting taxpayer money and city government integrity. Robert's transformation from respected mayor to calculating killer had begun 5 years earlier when his methamphetamine addiction had escalated from experimental use during demanding campaign periods to daily dependency that consumed his substantial mayoral salary and forced him into relationships with drug cartels who offered enormous payments for money laundering access and public contract coordination, affecting cartel operations and municipal corruption throughout city government. His addiction cost over $6,000 per day, while his access to Seattle's comprehensive public budgets provided unprecedented opportunities for coordinating embezzlement operations that generated millions through stolen taxpayer funds and cartel money laundering, affecting municipal finances and public trust throughout the city government system. His criminal activities escalated when several city officials and municipal oversight personnel discovered evidence of unauthorized budget manipulations and threatened to report their suspicions to federal agencies and law enforcement organizations. Investigating embezzlement targeting public funds and city government operations throughout Seattle municipal administration. Robert murdered his first victim, a suspicious budget analyst who detected irregular fund transfers, by orchestrating a car accident using cartel assets that appeared to be traffic incident rather than premeditated assassination designed to protect embezzlement operations. The success of his first murder convinced Robert that eliminating threatening city officials and suspicious oversight investigators was both necessary for protecting his embezzlement operation and achievable given his complete mayoral authority and his ability to coordinate with cartel networks who could stage municipal accidents and eliminate witnesses while providing plausible cover stories involving urban hazards and city operational dangers. Over the following 3 years, Robert murdered 13 additional individuals using various cartel methods and political coordination that took advantage of his mayor authority, his access to criminal networks during vulnerable city projects, and his ability to stage deaths as municipal accidents or urban incidents that occurred during routine government activities with personnel who had access to sensitive information that could expose embezzlement operations. His victims had been carefully selected based on their discovery of his criminal activities, their potential cooperation with federal authorities, or their knowledge of budget procedures that could expose his cartel coordination and systematic theft of public funds affecting city oversight and municipal accountability compliance. His victims included Auditor Patricia Williams, a federal municipal oversight specialist who had discovered evidence of systematic embezzlement and whose City Hall consultation had resulted in fatal elevator malfunction staged by cartel assets during routine budget review. Manager David Foster, who had reported suspicious fund activities and whose Seattle City Hall meeting had ended in fatal parking structure collapse using equipment sabotaged through cartel networks. And Agent Jennifer Martinez, a federal public corruption investigator who had been tracking embezzlement and whose city government inspection had resulted in fatal exposure to concentrated methamphetamine disguised as municipal document contamination, affecting federal oversight of city operations. The embezzlement operation had become extraordinarily sophisticated, with Robert coordinating the systematic theft of taxpayer funds through carefully planned budget manipulations and cartel money laundering coordination that provided public money for drug trafficking operations while generating personal wealth through stolen municipal funds, affecting city finances and public trust throughout the government system. Public construction contracts served as primary embezzlement operations, with Robert personally coordinating the inflation of project costs and diversion of taxpayer funds to cartel organizations seeking money laundering services and public contract access, affecting municipal corruption and construction fraud throughout the city development industry. The most disturbing aspect of the operation was the systematic betrayal of public trust and municipal responsibility, with Robert coordinating theft of taxpayer money intended for public schools, infrastructure improvements, and community services while funneling funds to drug cartels and personal enrichment, affecting city residents and public welfare throughout Seattle communities. Multiple public projects had been compromised as direct result of Robert's embezzlement operations, with schools receiving inadequate funding and infrastructure deteriorating due to diverted taxpayer money that served cartel interests and personal greed rather than community needs, affecting public services and municipal development throughout the metropolitan area. Mayor Chambers, I need to discuss serious concerns about public fund embezzlement and reports of municipal corruption connected to your city government operations, said FBI Special Agent Maria Rodriguez of the Bureau's Public Corruption Division, arriving at Robert's office carrying federal warrants to inspect his budget procedures and interview him about suspicious city activities. Special Agent Rodriguez specialized in investigating municipal crimes and had developed expertise in recognizing patterns of embezzlement and political corruption affecting city government operations throughout municipal administrations. Special Agent Rodriguez's investigation represented an existential threat to Robert's criminal operation, as her federal corruption expertise and access to embezzlement databases could expose the systematic theft operations and connect him to multiple suspicious deaths during city activities and municipal meetings affecting federal oversight and government law enforcement cooperation. Special Agent Rodriguez: I think there may be some misunderstanding about complex municipal budgeting and the unfortunate reality that city personnel sometimes experience urban hazards despite advanced safety protocols and federal coordination measures, Robert said, while discreetly activating a concealed emergency communication device that would summon corrupt city employees who were part of his embezzlement network for emergency elimination of federal law enforcement threats. Perhaps we could discuss these concerns in our budget coordination facility, where I can demonstrate the municipal procedures that might explain these tragic city incidents. Government operations involve complex funding systems that might appear suspicious to those unfamiliar with cartel money laundering coordination and public embezzlement affecting city operations. Special Agent Rodriguez agreed to examine Robert's municipal procedures, not realizing that the mayor was leading her to a secure facility where previous murders had been committed and where Robert planned to coordinate her elimination using cartel assets while staging the scene as federal agent targeting that occurred during corruption investigation, providing cover for her elimination while appearing to be criminal retaliation rather than deliberate murder by a mayor protecting his embezzlement operations. But Robert's carefully planned murder of the federal agent was about to be prevented by the unexpected arrival of municipal oversight officers who had been investigating city irregularities and had identified connections to his systematic embezzlement activities affecting government operations and public trust programs. Municipal Inspector Michael Torres had been conducting comprehensive investigation into city corruption and public fund theft that exploited mayor authority to facilitate cartel coordination and eliminate potential witnesses to municipal crimes affecting city oversight and federal government law enforcement cooperation. Inspector Torres specialized in investigating municipal crimes and had developed expertise in tracking city operations that compromised public trust while conducting systematic elimination of threats to embezzlement operations affecting government integrity and municipal operational security. The city investigation had been initiated by reports from multiple municipal oversight agencies and taxpayer advocacy organizations who noticed patterns of suspicious budget allocations and city personnel deaths, suggesting cartel networks were infiltrating city government to facilitate embezzlement while eliminating witnesses through sophisticated methods disguised as municipal accidents. Mayor Robert Chambers: I'm Inspector Torres with Municipal Oversight, he announced as he entered the budget facility where Robert was coordinating Special Agent Rodriguez's elimination. I have federal warrants for your investigation on charges of systematic public embezzlement, municipal corruption, money laundering, and multiple counts of first-degree murder related to your exploitation of mayoral authority for criminal operations affecting public trust and city integrity. Robert's reaction to the municipal oversight intervention was desperate attempts to maintain his political credibility, as he realized that federal agents and city investigators had been investigating his embezzlement activities and connected them to systematic city personnel murders and cartel coordination affecting municipal operations. Special Agent Rodriguez looked stunned as she realized how close she had come to being murdered by the mayor she was investigating for public corruption. Her municipal investigation had not only exposed Robert's embezzlement and murder operation, but also prevented her own death at hands of a killer using political authority as cover for systematic elimination of federal agents and corruption investigation threats. The comprehensive investigation that followed Roberts' arrest revealed the full scope of his criminal enterprise and sophisticated methods he had developed to exploit mayoral authority for systematic public embezzlement and murder. Forensic analysis of Roberts' city operations revealed extensive evidence of his embezzlement activities, including sophisticated fund diversion equipment for money laundering coordination procedures, detailed records of stolen taxpayer funds worth hundreds of millions, and comprehensive files containing municipal information that had been exploited to facilitate cartel operations affecting city oversight and public trust protection. The investigation uncovered Roberts' connections to drug cartels who had been coordinating city government infiltration and embezzlement operations while using his mayor access to launder money and eliminate witnesses through sophisticated methods disguised as municipal accidents and city operational hazards affecting government personnel and federal investigators. Most disturbing was discovery of Roberts' detailed knowledge of municipal systems and cartel coordination procedures, which he had used to develop increasingly sophisticated approaches for stealing public funds while eliminating city officials who discovered his embezzlement operations or threatened to expose his drug trafficking coordination activities affecting public trust and municipal integrity. Mayor Robert Chambers was ultimately convicted of 14 counts of first-degree murder, systematic public embezzlement, municipal corruption, money laundering, conspiracy with drug cartels, and numerous other charges related to his exploitation of mayoral authority for criminal operations affecting public trust and city integrity. The conviction sent unprecedented shockwaves throughout Seattle City Hall, prompting immediate reforms in municipal oversight, budget monitoring, and mayor addiction prevention, measures designed to protect public funds from exploitation by corrupted political officials involved in cartel activities. Several other mayors and city officials were investigated for similar criminal activities, resulting in enhanced oversight of municipal operations and new requirements for budget verification, public trust monitoring, and federal cooperation measures, making it difficult for cartel networks to exploit mayoral authority for systematic embezzlement operations. Special Agent Rodriguez and Inspector Torres received recognition for their collaborative investigation and became specialists in municipal crime investigation, developing new techniques for identifying embezzlement operations and protecting public trust from exploitation by corrupted city officials. City Controller Lisa Martinez and other surviving government personnel required extensive psychological counseling and career rehabilitation to overcome trauma of learning that their trusted mayor had been systematically stealing public funds and murdering city officials while exploiting his authority for cartel activities. The case prompted comprehensive changes in municipal regulation, including mandatory federal oversight and addiction screening for mayors with budget authority, enhanced monitoring of city operations and funding procedures, real-time federal supervision of public contracts, and new reporting procedures for suspicious municipal activities involving public trust violations. Roberts' conviction led to increased cooperation between municipal oversight agencies and federal organizations investigating drug cartels, with new protocols designed to identify city systems that might be exploited for systematic criminal activities while eliminating witnesses to municipal corruption and public trust violations. 5 years after Roberts' conviction and life imprisonment, Seattle City Hall continued implementing safeguards designed to protect public funds from mayors who might abuse their positions for criminal purposes, affecting municipal integrity and federal oversight. The mayor, who had promised to serve citizens and maintain public trust, had instead used his political authority to commit systematic embezzlement and murder while exploiting city resources for cartel coordination, threatening foundations of municipal government and public welfare. Mayor Robert Chambers' final speech had been permanently silenced by comprehensive investigation of municipal and federal justice, where he would serve multiple life sentences without possibility of parole, proving that even political officials who attempted to exploit their mayoral authority for criminal gain could be identified, investigated, and brought to justice when dedicated federal agencies worked together to protect public trust from predatory municipal corruption. The mayor's final speech had concluded with his permanent removal from political office, serving as lasting reminder that those entrusted with public service must never abuse that sacred responsibility, and that city officials who would exploit taxpayer trust and municipal authority for criminal gain will ultimately face full consequences of their betrayal of government integrity and public welfare. Thank you very much for listening. Please let us know what you think of this story in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any other videos.